And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this talk about the Aalborg University Research Indicator that I'm obviously very proud of, advocating wherever I can. This is Søren, and I'm Anna, and we're from the Research Support and Pure team at the Aalborg University Library and our team is called the VBN team. In the program, it says I'll be presenting with Nils, our team leader, but he was unable to attend, so Søren was a stand-up guy who took his place. That was nice. So we'll give an introduction, and we hope you get the gist of it, even though it is just a brief walkthrough of a rather complex indicator. But nevertheless, an introduction to this indicator that has been developed by our good colleagues, among others, and which we are implementing right now with effect from 2024. So I'll try this. I regret having this slide because we don't have time for it. So I'll just jump straight to our talk. So we're called the VBN team because that was our name even before Pure. And I have included a picture of us where you can see that we've been here since the beginning of time. We are experienced Pure users in a well-driven team. This was obviously Nils' slide, right? Within a university that has grown used to using Pure data. The management level is used to our reports and presentations, using our reporting to inform their decisions. We've been collaborating with Elsevier since the very beginning of Pure, and we're used to being very innovative, but we're also used to quality checking our data. So we have both reliable, deep data and broad categories of data. And also, it comes with the story that in Denmark we had a national research indicator that was closed overnight in December 21 without a replacement. And our rector wanted a new and more responsible indicator. So that is what two of our colleagues embarked with help from researchers from the entire, all our faculties. We have 4 different faculties. And the management level, the financial department, and a research assessment expert. And this work was carried out within 5 months, and it was really incredible what they did in such a short period. So when we think about future research assessment, we look to ARRA, this agreement from the EU, and its 10 points that Stefan presented yesterday. I'm not going to read them to you again, but they're basically about responsible measuring, diversity, and introducing more qualitative measures. So how do we translate these abstract and very nice points into actual assessment and build the work? We take the most important and concrete guidelines from ARRA, then took these ARRA principles and added our own standards for what we wanted at the university for this indicator to contain. Diversity in publication types, more qualitative measures. It should measure on department level, not individual level, which is quite important because the previous research indicator did this and it stressed our researchers. It also should look at research on its own merits instead of just the publication channel. It should be field neutral, catering to both the humanities and STEM fields, so it wouldn't favor either. And it should be internationally recognizable. So, oh, I knew this would switch. Okay. So, first of all, it's divided into 2 parts. Part A and B weighing 70% and 30% respectively. Part A is classic bibliometrics, where peer-reviewed publications receive a point based on the publication type or the field-weighted citation impact of the department, which is measured in or counted in Scopus. So a field-weighted citation impact is how much your articles, your department's articles, are cited compared to articles in their own field. So it might be cited 1.5 times more than the world average, so your articles get a point of 1.5. If it's cited less than the world average, you yeah, should do better at making research that is citable. So that's an incentive. So if 40% of the department's publications are in Scopus, because the Scopus coverage varies a lot, right? These 40% will be weighted with how the articles perform in citations, so the 1.5, for instance, compared to their own field. So the rest, the 60%, will be giving a point based, another point, which I will come back to, based on their type of output. I will present this in the next slide, what the non-Scopus covered content, what types of points they will be given. And if you want to dive into these calculations, please ask us or have a look at our reports, because it is just a quick overview right now, and it can seem quite complex. So the publishing channel is not important or rated as such, but it must be on the Norwegian authoritative list called Kanalregistret, to make sure it's quality checked and not, for instance, predatory. Right. So, and an amount of the university's budget will be distributed between the departments on the basis of these points. So you have a financial incentive to take it seriously at the different departments. And the second part, the part B, is the more qualitative part. It consists of departmental strategies of how they want to measure collaboration, visibility, and openness. So this can be descriptions of current strengths, or that is not included in part A. Maybe they have reports or teaching material that they would like to draw out, or it can be, and they can use data from pure or in principle other sources to support this story of how, or it can be media coverage, right? We're very much in the media, but we're not cited as much, but we're really good at actual impact in society. So each department needs to choose their own focus. How will we work with collaboration, visibility, and openness? And they choose the data that supports this. So this strategy, the part B, counting 30%, that needs approval from the dean and continuous attention. So if your strategy is not approved, maybe for not being ambitious enough, you'll miss out on the 30% of your part of the budget that was otherwise allocated to you based on the counting or in part A. So the whole indicator is dynamic, and that's what the shifted little arrows mean. And it can be adjusted. So if we, in a few years' time at the university, thinks it should be 50-50 or 90-10, or it can be adjusted. And also if we need to include a new parameter or omit something, that is also an option. So it can be, it is dynamic and can be adjusted in dialogue with the whole organization. So these were the points that I was talking about. If it's not in Scopus and weighted with the field-weighted citation impact, it will be giving a point according to its type. So if you have a journal article, for instance, that is not in Scopus, it will just be giving a 1 point. And it should still be peer-reviewed, except preprints and patents, and the publishing channel should figure on the Norwegian authoritative list, as mentioned. Regarding preprints, this is something that we've included, and we've discussed this a lot back and forth, but we will monitor this if it makes sense and is appreciated by the researchers, or if it is misused or prioritized instead of peer-reviewed work. Because people are quite suspicious of this, because they think everyone else will start misusing this. I will not, but everyone else will, right? So we'll see if everyone else will do this, or people will just continue as they are used to, and then get credit for their preprints. And now Søren will go into what types of pure data we're using in part A and B, respectively.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. Just on the previous slide, I also want to mention that editorial work on anthologies will also trigger points. This was not previously part of the Danish research indicator, but A lot of researchers say that they spend a lot of time on editorial work, so it makes sense for us to include this as an element in the indicator. Okay, so that was sort of the quick background for the research indicator, and I'll be delving more into how Pure functions as the data foundation for both parts A and B of the indicator. So, as Anna mentioned, in part A of the indicator, we'll be using quantitative metrics, bibliometrics. We will be using the number of publications we have in Pure. So in Pure, it's mandatory to register your publications at the university. So we can assume that we have 100% coverage. We'll be taking into account the publication impact by looking at the SciVal field-weighted citation impact. We will also be taking into account the specific department's Scopus coverage, as this varies a lot. Some of our departments have great Scopus coverage, and some aren't in Scopus at all, almost. It differs between 9 and 96% coverage. Last but not least, publication venue is also taken into account as we use the Norwegian list. The publication venue has to be a publisher or a journal on the Norwegian list to trigger a point in part A. Okay, that was part A, but what about part B? So this is where we'll be working and using more of the qualitative metrics, which is the key element in ARRA. As mentioned, the key focus areas here are visibility, collaboration, and openness. And we believe that in Pure, we have a lot of data which can support, example, collaboration. We have a lot of data which can show a lot about who our researchers collaborate with. External collaboration, as an example. We have external collaboration on publications, on projects, on activities. Collaboration with companies, collaboration with NGOs, with government, and so on. That would be an example of data we could use. We could look at internal collaboration, collaboration between our different departments, maybe across different disciplines, STEM and SSH. We could look at collaboration with students. Some of our departments have a lot of collaboration with students on publications. We could look at collaboration with technical and administrative staff, laboratory staff, librarians, and so on, as a way to measure the degree of collaboration. These are just some chosen examples, and again, it's up to the individual department which elements they want to use. So we will guide them and show them what they can use from Pure, from our perspective. Okay, the next one is visibility. So in Pure, we also have a lot of data which can be used to measure and show visibility. Anna mentioned press clippings earlier. So we have a media surveillance company which monitors the Danish press, and these are imported into Pure. So we have fairly good coverage of press clippings as a way to measure visibility and a way to showcase how the research from the university is used outside of academia. Another metric could be to look at the online attention, surrounding our publications by looking at PlumX as an example. The usage mentions and clicks, and I know tweets were unfortunately pulled from PlumX recently, but that was also an important indicator, we believe, in terms of visibility outside, the traditional ways of looking at research. Last but not least, societal impacts. We have the impact module in Pure, which is used by some of our researchers to register impacts, and that is also a way to showcase and to sort of grasp the effects of the research outside the walls of the university. Okay, the last one, openness. Probably no surprise, but open access is probably one thing to take into account. both for publications, of course, but also it might be relevant to look at data sets. Can we do something to increase the openness of our research on data sets, as an example, and have that as a goal? Memberships in Pure. Many of you probably also use the activity model in Pure, as do we. So at our university, it's recommended that our researchers register memberships in Pure. So we have many researchers who are active in different councils, boards, expert groups, and so on. And that's a great way to also disseminate knowledge openly to a different crowd than the crowd within academia. Last but not least, we could also take a look at the Pure profiles of the researchers. Do they have an ORCID? Do they have a description, a text description of the research? Do they use layman descriptions for the projects? Do they have a teaching portfolio, and so on? So you know, the different ways to also use some of the more descriptive fields in Pure in terms of openness, we believe is relevant as a possible data source here. So some reflections on this. When we expand the data we use for research assessment from going mainly from looking at publications to also looking at other types of data, this means that we have to be really aware of the data we present to the organization. If we begin using data on external organizations, as an example, as a way to assess research, we need to be aware that the data quality and the coverage is a whole different beast than just by using publications as a way to assess research. We believe that this doesn't mean that we shouldn't be using other types of data, but we should be really aware of what the implications are, and we should communicate to the people who are looking at these data that these data might not be complete, they might not be validated, and you certainly can't compare data from one department with another if you look at press clippings or teaching material. But again, it doesn't mean you can't use it, you just have to communicate very clearly what the implications are. It also puts some institutional focus on registration practices, because if we move beyond just focusing much on publications to focus more on different types of data, this will mean that the registration practices will change. And it also means that the data we have definitely will become a cornerstone in the strategical decisions at the university, because they are aligned with both the university strategy and the department strategy. We want the indicator to be a lever for the university strategy, obviously, but we also want it to be something that can benefit the individual researcher beyond just having a feeling of, okay, I'm going to be assessed again by something else. We want it, for the individual researcher to see, okay, I can actually benefit from this by making my profile better, by making it more open, by showing who I collaborate with, by showing my visibility and communicating my knowledge to the world. So a few things you need if you want to implement the AAU indicator. We believe that this is actually something that you can implement at any university if you would like to. Obviously, good data quality, probably self-explanatory. Also important when we talk about data quality that, okay, everyone hates external organizations, right? And it's a monster to clean up all these external organizations. And you'll never get to the bottom of it anyway. So what we've done is that we want to focus on the external organizations that are related to this year's production, as an example, to say, okay, that will actually make it manageable for us, that we actually have a chance to clean up a subset of the external organizations, which is good enough for some cases at least. So focus on what's actually achievable for you. Next up, you of course need some endorsement by your management and some commitment when developing or at least implementing the indicator. Any indicator or change at a university will foster some skepticism and some criticism. I mean, the researchers, right? It's their job to be skeptical and try to understand what this is all about. So you have to really, have endorsement and communicate in a clear way that this is actually something that you can also benefit from. And we've actually tried to learn something from all the mistakes in the past. I mean, look at what we've assessed researchers by in the past, right? So understandably, this will meet some skepticism, but you need endorsement, and you need to communicate to the university that this is a different way to approach assessment compared to previously. And then last but not least, of course, you need access to the Cybele and other analytical tools to do some of the calculations here. Okay, the last one here, a few quick wishes for the future development of Pure in relation to the indicator. It would be nice to have the Norwegian list integrated in Pure, so it's easy to see if the publication channel is on the list or not. It would obviously be nice to have better organization data on external organizations when importing from Scopus, so we don't have to spend so much time on cleaning the external organizations. It would also be nice to have the indicator actually integrated into Pure, either through the reporting module or as the new assessment module, which was presented at the roadmap yesterday. So kind of excited to see where that goes. Last but not least, we believe there are some places where Pure could do some things to become a bit more ARRA compliant, like adding more configuration options for the individual researcher to show or hide the different metrics that we have in Pure. So it isn't a sort of one-size-fits-all solution. And also, it would be nice to have a focus in Pure on supporting even more qualitative measures like narrative CVs, teaching portfolios, supervision, collaboration, and the last one here, we have a few different materials if you want to know more about the background and see how we calculate the points and so on. We have some reports, short version, extended version, and the one-page version for the really short one. And if you have any questions or want to hear more about our experiences once we begin fully implementing it, please feel free to reach out, and we'll be happy to help you.
I think it's really impressive the way you've sort of got the mix of leading, trailing edge indicators and quantitative and qualitative measures, but you've managed to sort of neatly capture it effectively using all the content types in Pure without actually sort of having to go outside. Nowhere did I see narration or, further text or, something that the researcher had to fill in. So that was quite impressive. But have we probably got time for one or two questions? Have we got? Yep.
Very short question, but where can I find the URL? Because there's a link probably behind it. But
I guess the slides will be available, right?
Directly, or does it take some time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could probably maybe talk to these guys later, and they might give you the direct link. But
but we can send it to you if you want.
Hi, it's John from the University of Manchester in the UK. Thanks for your presentation. It was a really nice sort of counterpoint to the keynote yesterday. I think my question is, you touched on something I've been thinking about a bit as well. You touched on, for the online attention, and I'm sorry, I'm still going to call it Twitter, but the fact that you'd lost the access to those mentions, kind of, I guess, how much of a problem you see that as being? Like at Manchester, we subscribe to Altmetric, but their renewal came through to our department a few weeks ago, and it was an eye-watering increase. Now, from my point of view, that Yeah, so it's gone up hugely, but on the other side, I have loads of our academics who aren't very keen on American billionaires who are kind of refusing to use Twitter or X and are kind of exploring other platforms. So I don't know if you are looking at pulling any of that information in or how that would be done. It was just a question, really.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I think when we created the indicator, tweets were a part of PlumX, but obviously it might be less interesting to use PlumX after Twitter's gone out. I mean, the list of social media, at least LinkedIn isn't a part of PlumX. Facebook coverage is also not very good. So we kind of left with Reddit, I think, and a few others. So again, it's up to the individual department if they want to take a look at the PlumX metrics. But yeah, I agree. It's sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it's an issue that needs solving, but you've raised a very good point that it's still one of those things that people are looking for, but somehow you've got to fund to get rockets to go to the moon and everywhere else. So, look, thank you both very much for the presentation and your time this morning. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.